I run ad campaigns for over 50 cleaning companies around the world. And in today's video, I wanted to take you through the key things that I see with those that succeed versus those that don't. And ultimately, it comes down to how do they deal with the lead once it comes in? How do they deal with the inbound phone call from a potential client? How do they follow up with a new quote request that is emailed through to them? So today I wanted to give you the top 5 things that I see with those cleaning business owners that succeed. So let's jump straight into it. So first of all is the missed call rate. This is one of the most important metrics that I see. And really, for those businesses that really succeed, they are picking up every single inbound phone call into their business. They're not missing any calls. And the reason why this is so important is that the best leads will be those where you can get that potential client on the phone. You can answer their questions, you can build trust and rapport, and ultimately book them there and then over the phone. So for those clients that are picking up every single phone call, they are closing more of these leads to clients, they're booking more clients for the same ad spend, and ultimately they're growing their business that much more quickly and profitably. So make sure you are taking and picking up all your inbound phone calls. Point 2 is then the response time. So this is more important if someone is messaging you or filling out a quote request and that's getting sent to your inbox. Because the response time and how quickly you can get back to a new client is extremely important. Because in reality, what happens is that a potential client, if they're looking for a new cleaning business to hire, they will probably send out quote requests to lots of cleaning companies, and they'll probably just keep going until they get a response from someone that they like and they ultimately book with. And the problem with a response time that is even 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, even longer, is that it gives that potential client more time to follow up and contact other cleaning companies. And it means the likelihood of you then getting back to the client and booking them is going to be far lower. So you need to make sure that the response time is as quick as possible, ideally within 5 minutes. And this is another common trait that I see with successful cleaning business owners, is that if a quote request comes into their inbox, they are on it straight away. They get back, they call that client straight away. And really, the quicker you can get back to that client, the better. And as I said, if you are getting back to those clients within the first few minutes, then you are doing a really, really good job. And this is something that I typically see with the top performers. Point 3 is then to contact your client multi-channel. So when a new quote request comes in, we generally get our clients to call those clients back as quickly as possible. But if they call them and then they don't get through, we don't just leave it there. Those really successful business owners will follow up with them in different channels. So they will leave a voicemail, they will send them a text message, they will send them an email, because as we know, people like to communicate in different ways. Maybe there is someone in the office and they can't take a call, in which case an SMS or an email is probably going to be better. Maybe someone is out and about and they would prefer to speak to someone, ask them questions there and then. So we need to contact and follow up with new leads in a multi-channel way. And this is another trait that I see with successful business owners, is that they won't just call that client, and if they don't get through to them, they'll just give up on that lead. They will call, they will text, they will send them a message, they will leave them a voicemail. And importantly, the call to action needs to be finding out when would be a good time to speak to that client. Because as I said, we are running a house cleaning business. Ultimately, clients are entrusting us with their home. We are going into their home. They need to trust that we will look after their home, do a good job. And obviously, if anything goes wrong, we need to be responsible for that. So they need to make sure that their home is in, safe hands. And this is why the call to action is generally to try and get those people on the phone rather than just sending a quote or an online booking link by email. So if you're finding the content helpful so far, please like and subscribe. It really, really helps me. Let's jump on to point 4. So point 4 is then the follow-up. As I said, let's say someone goes to your landing page and they would like to get a quote request. They fill out a form, that quote request gets emailed to you. And the follow-up is extremely important, because even if you call back that person within a couple of minutes, maybe they can't take the phone call. Maybe they're on the phone to another client. And it's important not to give up too early. And this is a mistake I see with many business owners, is that they'll get back and, maybe they'll send a message and say, are you interested in a clean, or can we help with a quote request? And they'll just leave it to the client to get back. But as we know, all of us are extremely busy. We're juggling lots of things. Maybe there's work, maybe there's family, maybe there's other things that they need to deal with. So following up once or twice is really not sufficient. So what I usually see with the most successful business owners is that they're following up every single day by all these multi-channels, by phone, by email, by text message. And the way that I tell our clients is that, if you're paying for these leads, if you're running an ad campaign, it is completely within your right to follow up with that client until they say yes or no. So I'll typically tell them that you want to be following up every single day for a week. And the follow-up is important, and the messaging around the follow-up is also important, because you don't want to just repeat the same message. You don't want to say on day 1, would you like a clean? Day 2, are you still interested in cleaning? Day 3, day 4, day 5, the same message. We need to follow up with the client in a way that reminds them that they put out a quote request and we're available to speak to them, but in a way that isn't repetitive and pestering them. And this is where ChatGPT is a really, really great resource. You can go to ChatGPT and say, give me a 7-day follow-up sequence as a cleaning business looking to follow up with a potential client. And they'll give you lots of different examples of ways that you can follow up with that client. So for example, day 1 could be, let us know when a good time to speak is. Another day we might send them a link to our fantastic Google reviews that we have. Another day it might be a link to our frequently asked questions. The following day it might be a coupon code. You get the idea. We are following up with a client, but changing the messaging. But importantly, what we are doing is following up, keeping us front of mind with them. They know that they've put a quote request, so they need to get a cleaning company booked. So, we can follow up in this way. And importantly, we want to follow up every single day for a week. And usually, if we don't hear back from that client for a week, still that is a lead. Ideally, that lead would then go into like a nurture sequence. It's an email sequence where they would get sent an email every month. And again, what it does is just keeps your cleaning business front of mind with that client. Let's say they did want to book a cleaning company, but something happened. Maybe there's a family matter they needed to deal with, or maybe they had to travel with work or something. So it meant that they weren't able to book that cleaning company. Those plans were on hold. But maybe when they come back to it in a month or 2 months' time, and they're trying to figure out, okay, I need to get this house clean. If they've seen your email pop up every month for a few months, you're going to be the first point of call. They're not going to simply jump back on Google and look for all these other cleaning companies, all your other competitors in your area. Because your cleaning company has been popping up in their inbox, they will probably go back to you as a first point of call. So the follow-up is really, really important. Don't give up on the first couple of contacts. Follow up every day for a week. Follow up by multi-channel. And again, if you don't hear back from that client within that week, don't give up. Put them into your monthly email newsletter, and you'll be amazed how many clients, even a few months down the line, will get back to you and eventually book service. So then point 5 is then to close on the phone. And this is really thinking about striking whilst the iron is hot. If you have the client on the phone and you've had a good conversation, you've answered their questions, you've sort of told them a bit more about your company, your primary objective is then really to try to book the client on the phone there or then. Many people will say, thanks for the information, let me think about it, let me speak to my partner and get back to you. If you do that and the client jumps off the phone, the likelihood of them booking is going to be much lower. So if the client is happy with what they've said, you've got the availability that works with their calendar and the pricing works, your call to action should be to try and get the client booked in the calendar there and then. You'll find that your close rate will be a lot higher. You'll find that you book up far more clients from your ad campaigns, and you will just ultimately grow your cleaning company that much more quickly. So book the clients there and then on the phone if you can. You want to avoid the automatic response of a lot of people to say, okay, I'm going to get back to you shortly. So those are the 5 most important things. As you can see, the follow-up with your lead is extremely important. And this is where having a really great CRM software, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. This is basically a software that houses all your leads, all your outstanding leads, those leads that haven't booked to clients. If you have a really great CRM software, it just helps you to automate a lot of these processes, and it really helps you to manage them. And if you have a solid process of managing and following up with these leads, you will just ultimately convert more of these leads to booked clients. So in this next video, I'm going to give you an introduction to what I think is the best CRM for cleaning companies out there at the moment. It's a software called High Level CRM, and it'll give you a quick intro into how it works. And if you do consider using it for your cleaning business, it will be extremely helpful. So I'll see you on the next one.